with. But there's a reason the Lord causes our path to cross with different ones. Sometimes He gives us the liberty to speak. Sometimes, most times He doesn't. I had someone ask me that the other day. How do you know when to speak and when to be quiet? Well, if they're not asking questions, that's how I find out about a son of peace, when they get curious. But when they do, I'm going to tell them, look, right now may not be a good time to stand here and talk about this. It's far too important. How about we set an appointment? How about we get together after work or whatever? I don't want to interrupt your work. I don't want you in trouble with your boss, but I would like to talk with you. You follow those veins, but it says the Lord directs. Here's Paul. The reason I'm bringing you here, he went out on this missionary journey. But the Lord purposed that he not go everywhere. In Acts chapter 16, notice in verse 7, I remember first time reading this and I thought it was a misprint. Because I was taught, go everywhere. But here, after they were come to Mysia, in verse 7, they essayed to go into Bithynia, but the Spirit suffered them not. See, I was taught it was Satan that keeps you. God really wants everybody here. Here said the Spirit suffered them not. And you read the context and find out why. There was one lady by the name of Lydia that the Lord had already set the appointment with, without her even knowing it. Sell her purple. She was on a business trip. And the Lord directed Paul across the way in a very powerful way to Philippi. You see that in verse 10. Luke's describing after he had seen the vision, immediately we endeavored to go into Macedonia, assuredly gathering that the Lord had called us for to preach the gospel unto them. Who's directing the ship? It's the Lord. And lo and behold, there's Lydia meeting by the river with some women. The Lord directs Paul her way. And you read there in verse 14, whose heart the Lord had opened. He'd already opened it. It wasn't that it was opened by Paul speaking to her. It was already opened. And the Lord was just directing Paul to preach to her the comfort that any one of God's elect enjoy when God's pleased to point us to Christ. And she attended unto the things which were spoken of Paul. But it wasn't over yet. Where is he? Philippi? What happened? They got imprisoned. The place whither he himself would come. Who would have thought that it would be in prison that the Lord would direct even a Paul? But as a result of that, Philippian jailer, hardened centurion, Roman. Who would have thought? Again, divine appointment. Divine appointment. I dare say that if any of us, the Lord has drawn to himself, it was by divine appointment. That he was pleased at that time to bring the word to us, cause us to hear. Now there's a lot there, whither he himself would come. Christ is not in a panic. He's not like preachers thinking, he doesn't have any hands but your hands. He doesn't have any feet but your feet. Doesn't have any eyes but your eyes, or any mouth but your mouth. That's an impoverished Christ if that's the case. Especially if he has to depend on this mouth and these hands and these feet, as corrupt as they are. But it's whether he himself would come. I still laugh that I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. I really do. Some of you have laughed about it, thought, who would have thought? But here we are, 20 years later. Like it or not, I found some sons of peace in the house. And the Lord said, don't go door to door. Stay there. So I'm here. Divine appointment.